BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor and take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. Episode 31 of the BTB Project. Today's guest holds one of the most impressive Colorado tennis resumes of all time. Him and his brother alone took the state by storm and became nationally recognized as one of the greatest brother tandems in tennis in the country. After a standout junior tennis career, he went on to Boise State, where he played for the great Greg Patton and was an all-WAC first team in singles 8 times, was a top 5 ITA in singles and doubles, and was WAC Player of the Year in 2007. He still holds today Boise State's match record of 119 wins in singles and 108 in doubles, where he took the Broncos 4 times to the NCAA tournament. 3 of those trips, they were WAC champions. After an outstanding college playing career, he started his coaching journey, where he is now the head men's tennis coach at Boise State. Luke Shields, welcome to the BTB Project.
Don't be afraid of the dark. Be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you, baby.
Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Coleman Gerhardt, a former athlete and motivational coach. I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living all my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land.
It is a unbelievable, tremendous honor to welcome, in my opinion, one of the greatest Colorado tennis players of all time. Coach Luke Shields, welcome to the BTB Project.
Thanks, Colin. Great to be here. Great to be on the podcast. You're doing some awesome things. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
You know, I know it's been quite a road for you. 1 as a player, 2 as a coach. And as we were able to talk prior to hopping on, just how exciting it is to get back to, really what you're calling home. Learning that Boise is not only where you reside and where you coach, but now you got your parents out there and it's become a very special place. So I would love for you to speak to the listeners about how you got back to Boise State and maybe start laying the framework of how Boise was a place that you wanted to play college tennis at as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, sometimes the stars align and, good things happen. And, I didn't expect my journey to be the way it was. But it seems like it all happened for a reason, and I'm here. I'm where I belong, and I expect to be here for the rest of my life. I guess going back to how I got to Boise in the first place, I chose Boise because of the people. Came on a visit, and the people here are unreal. And I say that it's probably because of the natural beauty and the fact that similar to Colorado, it's as far as the work-life balance here is amazing. They're just good-hearted people, down to earth, and I really felt like I'd be treated like an individual, not a number. I also wanted to go somewhere and do something special that hasn't been done before, and win a national championship somewhere where they haven't sniffed that or gotten close to it. And I had some other options to right away compete for a national championship, but I really felt like that story had already been written.
Okay.
And wanted to go to a place where I could do something really special. And now we never achieved our goals. We achieved some, but we never reached the pinnacle.
Right.
And I think that's part of the reason why I'm so eager be back at Boise State. I think we can reach the pinnacle. I think there's so much we can do here, and this place is so special to the heart. And anyone that's been a part of this program would say the same. And it just, it's a special place. And so I'm really stoked to be back, taking the lead here, and we're just getting started. We just finished year one, and
yes,
we're the number one team in the country when it comes to development according to UTR.
oh wow,
we had a lot of growth this year.
So is that based off of UTR basically increasing throughout the year, their UTR number? Because I believe that college matches, when they are played, is towards a UTR ranking, correct?
Yeah, exactly. The results get submitted to UTR.
Okay.
And now, I mean, UTR, you take it with a grain of salt, but it is something that we use to see if our guys are developing the right way. And I'd say that, 9 out of 10 of our guys were really developed correctly. And so it's like, I'm just really thrilled. Like we got off to a really good start, and really excited for year two. I think we're really going to push it to that next level, and really get even more organized and more focused in certain areas. And so I really believe in this place. I think our alums deserve it for us to be national contenders and just to get back on the map. So we're excited. We got a really good staff. I think the best staff in the country. We got some hungry student athletes. We have an amazing staff. I think our strength coach is one of the best in the country, if not the best. We just have a lot of guys that are all in, committed. And so, when you have that support and you have people that are aligned with your goals, it really, really does help. And it's what's needed. So,
right.
So I'm excited.
Right behind you there in the frame is building a tradition of excellence. And I know that a coach like Greg Patton and the shoes you have to fill coming back, and knowing that was your former coach, and knowing you're building a tradition of excellence. I'm just curious, based off of what you learned from your former coach and what you've learned in your other various coaching roles, which we'll dive into today, what is your tradition of excellence, and how is that kind of aligning to, like you said, having more success in year two?
Yeah, I think it's striving to be the best in everything that you do, and that's in the classroom, giving your best effort there. It starts there. It leads to the community. The Boise tennis community is the best in the country. Just a lot of people that really care about what we do. And so, putting your best foot forward in the community, going the extra mile to help people out, to reach out to people at different clubs, but also just like to get more kids involved in tennis, and not just tennis, but sports, and, developing a healthy lifestyle. And, and then it leads over to, how you prepare at practice, how you show up to practice, the type of attitude you have. And, I learned a lot from Coach Patton. He's probably the best coach in the country to get mentored by, because he's so unique, and there's so many different areas where he's extremely good. And then there's also some areas where you could see where we could improve. And so I think he was like the best coach to learn from. He did an amazing job in the community. He got people to our matches, but it wasn't just getting people to our matches. It was like we gave back, and then they gave to us. We go give a free clinic, and then they come to us. And it was all about relationship building. And he was the best at that. He had a rule every day. I have to make a new friend. And so he'd go around the community, and I don't have his personality. I can't pull that off. That's not really, maybe my weapon, but I mean, I can strive towards it. And,
sure.
he did an amazing job of getting connected with this community. And yeah, I've just learned a ton from him. And so, yeah, we have a history of excellence in every area. We compete extremely hard. Actually, this year we honored the 1993 championship team, the 2003 championship team, and the 2013 championship team. And so, and those were all teams coached by Greg Patton.
Ah, wow.
And so that was really special. And I told our guys, a lot of pressure, that third year we got to be champions.
Yep.
And luckily we got the job done and we're champions this year. And,
Yeah.
but that's kind of the expectation, and it's not just about winning as it's like winning happens, but there's a lot of things that you have to do, that leads to winning, and a lot of steps that you have to take. And so yeah, that about sums it up.
Yeah. And it's, amazing to hear you talk about Coach Patton. I haven't been able to have too many conversations with him, but I did have Coach Dick Gould on the podcast, 17-time national champion, and hearing his story on how he built Stanford it was all about relationships. And he often didn't talk forehands and backhands much with his players. Obviously there's strategy and things that you got to do, but he was always out in the community. I believe that his program was fully funded by an endowment that he created. So his staff, the Stanford tennis facility, all of that was funded privately. So he was able to support his coaches in the community and things like that. And I just always resonate with that relationship piece, because I think sometimes as coaches, you can get wrapped up into the guys that you're, trying to build a program with, but it truly does take a village. And I think it's fantastic that you're carrying on that same approach. But I got kind of a one-off with Boise because I'm always curious. I love watching the football team play because everything's blue, right? And I heard an urban legend that because the football field is blue, that there might be dead birds on the field every now and then because they think it's water. True or false?
I'm pretty sure that's false, but it's a good myth. I like that one. No, I mean, I think part of that, is we've had great leadership over the years. We had a really good AD back in the day, Gene Blameyer, and he brought a lot of innovation to this university. We were a junior college in 85 maybe, when we went to Division I, or it became a 4-year school. But like the amount of growth that Boise State University has had over the last 30, 40 years is unbelievable. And a lot of that has to do with, the right people having innovative ideas. And that blue field was an idea that maybe at the time people thought was silly, but it kind of became like who we are.
Right.
We are about innovation. We are about taking chances, and we are about, being different, being the underdog. And that is a part of our story. And so yeah, I think that it kind of resonates all throughout campus. We have that blue field mentality.
The thing that I always have resonated with as a player is whoever I'm playing for, I'm always immersed in maybe what they did as a player prior to coaching. So I'm just curious, based off of the guys that are, going to battle for Boise, going to battle for you, what does it mean to you knowing that these guys coming in, that they know that, you were the guy back in the day. I believe you're still the record holder in both singles and doubles matches won while playing tennis there. And listen, we could talk about accolades for days, and that's not the point here, but I just want to know, what does it mean to the guys to know the history that you brought to the team, that your brother brought to the team, and how do you use that to pay forward?
Well, yeah, I think it definitely gives you a head start. Like I think my starting place here at Boise State was way easier when I took over at Fresno State. The learning curve wasn't really there, because right away I had the respect of the players, of the student athletes, and I didn't have to really earn that, and because of the past. And so that allowed me, or our staff, to get right to work. And so I think that definitely gave us an advantage. But as you know, like, your accolades from your playing career don't mean a whole lot as a coach. I think it helps, definitely, like knowing that through sacrifice, hard work, and all the skill sets that you developed, you were able to have a successful playing career. Those definitely help you out, as you become a coach. You use those same skill sets, but you can't get complacent. And I think a lot of coaches, that maybe have a great playing experience have become complacent at times and kind of rely a little bit too much on the past. And so I think every day is a new challenge, an opportunity to learn and develop in your craft. And so, it definitely helped me right away. I think our guys are competitive and they see the record books, they know what I've accomplished, and that definitely helps, and that gives them something to strive towards. But still, you still have the same challenges and obstacles that every program has. And so, yeah, I mean, I think this year we definitely have a head start. And so, I think there is a perfect fit everywhere. I think I am the perfect fit for this program, because of, I've been a part of it for 8 years, and, my heart and soul is here. So, I mean, yes, it definitely gives us a little bit of an advantage as far as getting off to a good start.
And I just want to reflect on one more piece of this year, because I think it was probably a full circle moment for you and your family. Is not only one, this team success that you had, but you get to the NCAAs and all of a sudden the draw shows Arizona. And I just would love to hear your perspective of that match. I know you're a competitive guy. It started all the way back with your brother on the newspaper routes. I mean, you guys are constantly trying to find ways to compete, and I can relate to that too, because I have an older brother who's 4 years older than me. And the only way that I got into tennis, Luke, was I was a freshman. He was a senior. He beat me at every sport: baseball, basketball, football. And I tried out for the tennis team, and I beat him for the last spot on varsity. And then he quit. So that's how my tennis career started, and my brother was a big part of that. But nonetheless, that match and at the NCAAs and what it meant to you, I'd love you to walk us through that.
Well, as you said, I mean, siblings bring the best out in you, know, and I had an older brother too. I have two older brothers and an older sister, and it really actually goes back to that. Clancy and I were fortunate enough to be the youngest and have the advantage of getting beat up by our older siblings. And so, and that led to me, like, I have a 2-year advantage on Clancy. And so I definitely beat up on him. I think one of the questions you asked before was, what's your best junior accomplishment? Well, yeah, probably my best junior accomplishment is beating Clancy until he was 16 years old. And so, but I created a monster. I really did. I think me not really showing mercy with Clancy over the years when he was younger, maybe backfired in a way, or I mean, it's definitely led to him being a very successful coach. And sibling rivalries are so healthy if done the right way. And that monster has been able to kick my butt a few times over the last couple of years, and even this year. When that draw came out, it's definitely not the draw I wanted. Yeah. I didn't want my brother. I care. Blood is everything to me, and I really root for his team. I know you're not really supposed to, but I care for what he's doing. And yeah. But when we have to compete against each other, we on game day we put all that to the side and go to war. But it's not really where I wanted to go. But I think it was sweet in the sense that we got an opportunity to bring our family together and really, enjoy the moment and kind of have a little bit of a celebration. I kind of knew that, right now with where we're at, we're not quite ready for that level. I think we're close. And I think in the next couple of years, we'll be able to compete with a team that's inside the top 15, like University of Arizona. And so it was a great experience for our guys. If I could have selected other places to go, I would have, because I actually think we had a pretty dangerous team. If we were a 3 seed, I think we could have been really competitive with a number of teams out there. So, but at the end of the day, you got whatever draw you get, you got to go compete and kudos to Clancy's team. Clancy's had a team that's been, I think, top 20 in the country the last 4 years. And he's really built something consistent there, and his guys compete hard. And they'll host the kickoff next year, which is a big advantage to moving the program forward even more. And awesome. So, Yeah, I mean, it's I think we played a number of times as head coaches, and he's got the better end of it. So I got to hustle a little bit more and do a better job.
Understood. And I know that before you started your coaching journey after finishing your playing career at Boise, that I don't even know if it was a thought about trying to go and play professionally, but I know how hard it is to try to go do that. I've talked to several of my friends who've tried to do that, whether it's, Kellen D'Amico or, Paul Kinke and some guys that have really tried to play at the highest level. But I think something that's just as hard, and I'd love for you to speak about it, is getting into college coaching. Because first of all, it's not typically the highest paying job in the world. There's not too many jobs that are available, especially now after COVID. You see more programs going away than you do kept or continuing to grow. I just would love for you to speak to how challenging was it for you? I know that you stayed at Boise and helped there for a little bit and then kind of, went to some other opportunities. What has that coaching journey been like for you before coming back to Boise?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think after your college career, it's a challenging time for a lot of individuals, especially if they have, the opportunity to play professionally. And as you know, to make tennis a career is very challenging. You need a lot of things to go your way. You need money. You need adequate scheduling. You need adequate leadership in your life. There's a lot of things you need. And number one, you need the motivation. You need like that has to be your desire. And quite frankly, it wasn't Clancy or I's desire to be a professional. Like we kind of got a taste of it before college, and I think we're always built to be team players, I think. And that's one thing I didn't really enjoy about tennis growing up. Is like a lonely sport for me and my brother. And so, I think we knew right away, like throughout our college experience, like this is it, man. I love this. This is the passion level, the team part. This is what I was meant to do my whole life. And so I think I knew early on in, my playing career that I wasn't going to play professional. I knew I didn't have the weapons to make it in singles, doubles, possibly. I think Clancy and I probably could have made a decent run, but it wasn't something that we were passionate about. College tennis was our passion, or is our passion. And so, I think we got the benefit of having a head start. We made that decision pretty early on, and right out of college, we both had some opportunities, and our pathways were a little bit different. My pathway is that I went and gained some experience elsewhere, and which I'm grateful for, and took some chances and humble myself at times, and I think those things are good. I think sometimes throughout my career, I take, I look for opportunities where I can make an impact. I kind of look for programs that are like in the dumps or like defeated in a sense, or where there's a need.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can kind of restore something or build something up. And that's really what I enjoy. I enjoy the building part. And so, Clancy and I both, I think, looking back on it, like, I don't watch professional tennis a whole lot. I mean, I'll watch it here and there, but it's not necessarily my passion. My passion is college tennis. I love the team dynamics. I love putting aside the ego and like playing for your teammates, and just that bond, and that's what gets me going. And so, I think we were fortunate enough to find our passions early on.
When it comes to building your teams and the recruiting process, I've had the chance to talk to several college coaches, and I am always curious, based off of 2023, what are the tangibles that you're looking for? It's interesting in today's day and age because you can have guys that have, incredible UTRs or success in tournaments, but if they have, character flaws or send up red flags to being a detriment to the team, I would love for you to walk us through what you look for in an ideal recruit. And the second part to that question would be, listen, when I played in college, I played 4 Americans in 4 years. Everyone else was an international player. So, what is the kind of, ratio of how much you're paying attention to the international pipeline and also the national pipeline?
Yeah, it's a good question. Everyone has their own philosophy on recruiting. I guess the best way is to use other sports to break it down. Like, I think what Pat Riley's doing at Miami is like amazing. And, he's pieced together a team that plays like a team. And that's kind of our goal here is we want to find guys that fit their roles on the team and their responsibilities. And they will, they'll play those perfectly to the T. And yeah, I mean, you do need talent. I mean, look, Miami Heat's team, they have talent. But Adebayo's an amazing talent. But they're also, like, every single guy on that team's like very unselfish. Like, there's some great leadership on that team. And like, look at Haslam. Haslam's 42 years old and he's on that team. And he's eating up a roster spot, but it's obviously a vital position, right?
Right.
And so, I think piecing, that's the part about this job I really like, is the GM piece is we have 4.5 scholarships, right? And we have to figure out a way to piece together a successful team, an enjoyable team with that 4.5. And so there's a lot of strategy that goes into it. As far as like international American, I don't really care what people look like, where they're from. Like, what matters is their character and like what they're all about. And so we flip over every rock, and we explore, the idea of bringing every individual onto the team and try to do as good a research as we can, and try to see them in person. I think that's really important. I think the relationships are extremely important. We also have to stay within budget and everything. And so I'm going to Europe this summer for a couple of weeks, and during those 2 weeks, I want to knock out as much as possible, get in front of as many kids as possible, because I think that's really important. Developing that relationship too. I think you can ruin a kid's development actually in the recruiting process, or you can really make them develop the right way. I think some coaches with empty promises have done that, where if you come here you'll play 1 or 2 guaranteed. Like statements like that can actually really harm a kid's development. You have to earn everything. We would not be recruiting you if we didn't believe in you, but you have to earn everything. And this is where we see you could possibly play. But every day it's competitive. We want competitors, and we wouldn't be recruiting you, but if we didn't believe in you, but they have to understand, like, every day is a new challenge, and you got to earn your spot every day. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of characteristics that we look for in players. And, we added I can't really say the names, but we had one guy that's pure American player, just purely based on leadership skills. And we think, by his junior year, he's going to be an amazing leader. He has the right leaders. He has the right energy, the right passion. He's able to call people out. He's loves it. He's, college tennis is in his blood. And so, his UTR might be an 11 or whatever, but it's worth it, so I think I don't get, obviously UTR, obviously how talented an individual is. Yeah, it's important. You need those pieces, and you need to keep pushing the envelope, and it's hard to preach, messages and teach lessons unless you are able to produce and have results. And so that is important, but at the end of the day, what's more important is culture and piecing together a team that really buys into the role.
When you were recruited back in the day by Coach Patton, what was the character traits or the tangibles that he liked about you and what you brought to the table?
Well, I can't really speak for him, but I think we are aligned at the hips. Like we agreed on everything. But when I came on my recruiting trip, I was really clear. I was like, Coach, I want to win a national championship. I want to compete with the best. I really believe in you. Like, there's a mutual respect right away. And I think he really strived towards those goals, and I strive towards those goals every day. And And so it was a great bond. I actually had a former teammate come into town 2 days ago. Clancy was here, and his name is Keen Feeder. He's like 450 in the world before college. And
Wow.
unfortunately, for 3 years, I didn't get to play with Keen because of injuries and some eligibility issues his first year. But I really do think Coach is an amazing leader. I believe he's one of the best speakers out there. Really believe in the message, but way he teaches his athletes, and it was what I needed at the time. My dad, who's an amazing coach, and is actually the exact opposite of Greg, and I had probably been beat down a little bit as far as my mentality. Like I'd probably a little bit burn out with the game as far as the grind of the pro tour and a few other things, and it was probably neglecting more of the social part of my life, and that was the balance that was off. And so I think that was important to me as well. I wanted to have some fun. I wanted to have more of a social life, but also strive towards some really important goals.
And I want to go back there, Luke, because I appreciate you running us through the coaching journey, and I want to go all the way back to Grand Junction, Colorado. It's not typically a place where tennis players are developed, and I am just amazed to have a few folks that have been on the podcast that have been from there, and that childhood and growing up, and all your siblings and your mom and dad. What was it like growing up there, and what got you into tennis in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, in order for like a great story to happen, you need so many things to go your way. You need so many people working in the right direction. I'll give an example of another kid who I had the honor of working with, Ethan Quinn from Fresno, who just won the national championship. He's a part of our junior program at Fresno, and really like connected with our team quite a bit. And before he was in high school, I was working with him individually quite a bit. His story is a really special story because it was a community effort. His parents it starts with him. He had like an amazing attitude and charisma, and just like people wanted to help him. And so I think that it really starts with the individual having that type of attitude, and when that happens, people are willing to go out of their way to help. And then you need the right parents, you need the right guidance. In Ethan's case, like he has a very motivated mom and driven, and taught him really good lessons, and stepdad as well does an amazing job of instilling those right values. And then with having a positive attitude and right approach, there's about 20 people in the Fresno community that went out of their way to support Ethan, and so it's a really amazing story of a community getting around an individual and pushing them forward to achieve something amazing, like really amazing. Wow. And he's number one in the country as a freshman. It's really hard to do, and that would have been it's impossible unless the stars align, unless you have all these people helping you. And our story is very similar, coming from a small town. Like, we're just really blessed and fortunate, fortunate to have siblings that were older than us, that pushed us, that believe in us, that care for us. My mom's the best mom in the world as far as she sacrificed so much. She worked the night shift for 6 nights a week for 15 years, and then would come home, make food for us every meal, do our laundry, cared for us, and like a really amazing person, that sacrificed a ton. And our dad as well. And you don't achieve anything special without great people around you. That's just our family, but there's also a community there as well. The Elliott family, they did so much for tennis in that area. And for us, like, not having the means to get lessons and to learn how to play properly, that they allowed us to take part in their junior programs for free, and they understood our situation and would do anything they could to support. And that was a whole family. There's 10 or 11 of them that are all into tennis, and without their support, some of the success that we've had would be impossible. And we're just really fortunate. We're blessed, and I think I don't think we've accomplished a ton, but we have accomplished a certain degree in our field, and and we couldn't do that without a great community.
Yeah, I commend and appreciate you tying it back to one, representing one of your former players who has a tremendous story, and relating to that, resonating to it. I deeply resonate to your story, and primarily just watching you talk about your mom. I unfortunately lost my mom when I was 20 years old. She lost her battle with addiction. She was an alcoholic. At 16 years old, I took her to her first rehab, and tennis was a place for me to have an outlet to where I wasn't around a lot of dysfunction in my life. But despite her disease, I grew to have a very important relationship with her. And there were so many times when I was, playing in college. I played 2.5 years after she passed, and I wish she was there to watch and share those moments. And I know you got to share a lot of those moments with your mom. And I mean, gosh, being a nurse and putting in those nightly hours, I think is unbelievable. But I came across something, Luke, that I thought really resonated with me, and I'd love for you to speak to it. And your relationship with your mom is that she kind of drives a lot of positive energy and encouragement towards you. And I believe it was during the COVID time. There's a lot of uncertainty with, college coaching and tennis, and everyone masked up, and it was a challenging time. But during that time, you got to reflect a lot on family. And I believe your mom was sending you Bible verses every now and then, and you had an opportunity to kind of self-reflect on that and grow and dig deep into who you are and that mother's encouragement. So I'd love for you to speak on how your mom has encouraged you and how that helps you be the man you are today.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think with your story too, it's like we all have events or things that happen in our life, and our response to it really creates the outcome. And no matter what's thrown your way, I don't think there's any perfect upbringing or childhood, and it's really like it's upon us as individuals to lean on the right people and to overcome any situation, and I think that really makes you stronger, right? And our growing up wasn't like perfect by any means, but I think those obstacles made us stronger. Those challenges did make us who we are, and those imperfections were actually the beauty of everything. And so, I think the best thing my parents did as parents, basically every morning we'd wake up as a family and we'd read some scriptures from the Bible, and we'd have conversations about it. And I think through that, we learned a lot of good lessons that we could apply to our daily life. But I think it's just like a really good way to wake up in the morning. You wake up and it gives you like a good perspective the rest of the day, and to be able to handle whatever's thrown your way. And I haven't been perfect in my adulthood by any means. But I strive towards that, like having those habits in the morning and being able to have good perspective. But yeah, every time I've had challenges, I think I've really leaned on my mom. I think she's been like the anchor of our family, and she's just like just morally an amazing lady. Has extreme work ethic, always on the go, never stop. And even at night, she's just always doing something, cleaning, but whatever it may be, she's always on the move. I can't say I do the same. I need to put my feet up and recharge a little bit, but she's a perfect example for all of us kids to strive towards. And we've been lucky enough to be somewhat successful because of her guidance, and also my dad gives us like a balance that we needed. My mom was very compassionate. My dad was kind of a hard ass. He is the one that would kick us in the butt and make sure we're doing work and hold us accountable. And as you know, being a tennis player,
Yeah.
What 10-year-old kid wants to go train for 5 hours? That there's a lot of social things you could be doing besides playing tennis. But he understood, like, you do need a kick in the butt at times, and he was willing to give that. And he was a boxer and football player growing up, and so he didn't really coach us from a tennis mindset. Is more of a boxer mindset, and which was a little bit unorthodox, but I think it kind of worked. Our strokes weren't the best strokes.
There's footwork in boxing, right? I mean, there's got to be a crossover there.
Yeah, exactly. But I think there's some beauty in that. I think he pushed us, and there's some decisions he made probably at the time where I was like, well, and I was pretty frustrated and some resentment. But I think as I reflect later in life, I'm like, wow, what my dad did for us and my mom is unbelievable. Their ability to understand, like, it wasn't about like being best friends at the time. It was about getting us to do what we need to do to get to a certain point and reach goals. And so I can give a ton of examples with my dad. I actually didn't play Kalamazoo my last 2 years because I was the number 2 seed at Kalamazoo.
I remember that.
And I lost to Scoble Jenkins first round.
Yes.
I was kind of entitled a little bit, probably going in and wanted to kind of ease my way into the tournament. And it led to me losing first round. And for us at the time, that was actually like a really expensive trip. It cost us about $2,000, and you can do the math. A nurse makes $60,000 a year, and that was family income. And so my dad was basically like, you don't deserve to go back and play that tournament. And at the time, that's harsh. It's like a harsh lesson. I think I learned a lot from it. It's like you need to value every opportunity you get, and if you don't prepare the right way, maybe you don't deserve the opportunity. And so I know some of those lessons are pretty harsh that my dad taught us, but you got to roll with it, and I did learn a ton from it. So
I know you spent a lot of time, you and your brother, your family, at Orchard Mesa Middle School, and hitting tennis balls and getting immersed in the Grand Junction tennis community. I myself am actually just wrapped up my 16th year of high school coaching. After I was done with college, I was able to give back and started, at Chatfield Senior High, and now I'm an assistant coach at my son's school, Valor Christian. And my son doesn't play tennis. He's a big runner, cross country and track, but it's been just really rewarding for me to give back to high school tennis, and gotten close to dethroning Cherry Creek a few times, and who knows, maybe in August that will happen with the boys team. But nonetheless, I wanted to ask you, because I believe you and your brother did not play high school tennis, and was that something that, when it comes to the social aspect and kind of having some normalcy outside of the grind? I remember with my conversation with Kellen D'Amico, he ended up playing 1 year of high school tennis at Ponderosa before going full-fledged academy with John Roddick. But he, kind of said that he really enjoyed that time, being part of a team and having a little bit of normalcy. What does high school tennis mean to you, and are there any regrets of not being able to experience that?
Yeah, 100%. I think that might be why we are so passionate about college tennis, is because we missed out on the opportunity in high school. Carol Elliott was the head coach at Grand Junction High School, where we would have gone and played for, and that's one of the things I wish I could go back and do, because I would have liked to pay it forward to that family, and play for the Elliott family and get a state championship to Grand Junction High School. And
I was going to say, there'd be a lot of guys from Colorado who would have been mad if you played high school tennis, Luke, because you would have absolutely shown him who's boss. Same with your brother. But yeah, that's neat. That now is Carol Elliott. Is that Lee Elliott's daughter?
Yeah, it's Carter's daughter.
Okay, gotcha.
And Lee.
There's a lot of them, so I just remember when I go up now and we play a tournament every now and then, high school at Colorado Mesa, and the Lee Elliott Tennis Center. And nonetheless, that family has been a big part of your life. And yeah, I would love to hear more about what it would mean to have played for them.
Well, Carter and Lena, and they had a bunch of kids that got involved in tennis. Ron Elliott in particular was in charge of the program at Mesa County tennis program, and he's just like he kind of reminds me of the guy from Good Will Hunting, Robin Williams. You know, he's just like exactly that type of person, or you could even say like a Dead Poets Society, like the character he plays, where he's just like an amazing mentor that does it for the right reasons, just cares about his kids so much. And then you could say the same about the whole family. And so I think, I don't like to have regrets, but you know, I joke around with my dad all the time. Clancy and I we're bummed about that decision because, but it, you know, it goes back to like my dad's decisions. He was making them kind of on the fly, but he's doing what was best for us. And now I recognize that. There's a lot of times where I may have had some resentment for those decisions, even getting taken out of school. My freshman year of high school, we went into a private school where we could do everything online. And, you know, I'm a social guy. I like to be around friends and people. And that was a pretty lonely decision. It's those hard decisions that may have to have been made in order to move things forward. But at the time, you know, we don't really recognize that. But anyway, going back, you know, I think high school tennis is amazing. I think you're an amazing high school coach. I think those years are even more important than the college years. You can really lay a strong foundation, and the growth and development that happens from age 14 to 18 is unreal. The reason I love college coaching is for that development aspect. And I do think kids are still developing from 19 to 23. Those are really important years as well. But high school tennis is awesome. I think you have the opportunity to work with these kids who are going through stages of their life and that will really impact them forever. And so I think that's really special. And you're definitely making an impact in their lives, even though you may not recognize it at this time. I was actually having a conversation with Greg Patton last week because he's coaching at Boise High School.
And I saw that. That's awesome.
And I think he's officially done coaching now. There might have been some challenges with the team he had, but he went on for 30 minutes talking about like the pleasures and the enjoyment that he got this year from coaching and just the growth and development that he saw. And I think the best part of my day oftentimes is we have a junior program here at Boise, and I had the same junior program at Fresno for 6 years, and where I got the opportunity to work with high school age kids and some middle school kids, and it was the best part of my day, and it oftentimes is, you know, because they're eager to learn, and just like in 2 months, the growth that they have is just unreal if they really stay at it and stay consistent. So it's pretty special.
Yeah, the why behind high school coaching for me, you know, I just wanted to be a coach like I never had growing up. And I'm not saying that my high school coach was a bad coach by any means, but I had some pretty lofty goals. And I remember him sitting us down the first year that I made varsity after beating my brother, and he basically gave the team chat of like, hey, you know, enjoy these next few years playing high school tennis. It's going to be a good time. And after you're done with these 4 years, you know, you're probably not going to be able to play anymore. And I was like, well, wait a second. I told you 3 days ago that I wanted to play college tennis. And granted, that's coming from a kid that's 5'11", stockier guy. And, you know, maybe on the outside, it probably wouldn't make sense to tell somebody that they could play college tennis. But I had some big goals, and I just desperately wanted someone to say I could do it, or provide a roadmap for me to go after my dreams, right? And yeah, I would say, Luke, that the experience and gratification that I've gotten from being a high school tennis coach, thank you cards, wedding announcements, unfortunately I've had to go to a few funerals, just how kids come to me and express gratitude and are thankful, and are appreciative of the efforts. And it's not everybody, but at the same time, like my role is to help them become good contributors to society after tennis is done. And listen, a lot of these kids aren't going to go on and play college tennis, but they're going to become doctors and lawyers and salespeople and whatever it may be. And just to be a blip on the radar to give them some traits and tools that they can use for their life. And more importantly, if they do have the blessing to go on to play college tennis, to have them prepared for programs like yourself. You know, those character traits, I believe, are foundational in the high school years. And to give back, it's addicting. I've always thought too about college coaching. I could never justify it being a husband and a father of 3 kids with some of the income that I hear about with these positions. But nonetheless, I think there's a lot of uniform in what I'm doing in high school and what you're doing with college. And that leads me to believe a question that came up, or more of a comment that came up, and kind of tying all this together with, you know, how you were raised and hearing about your dad and knowing the brotherly love with Clancy. You know, he said that you're the most toughest mental competitor he's ever seen. And I also heard that too from Coach Patton in some interviews. And when it comes to the mental or inner game of tennis, what do you believe is the reason why you've been able to develop that trait? Because I feel like in today's day and age, you see less and less mentally tough athletes than you do athletes that are folding under the pressure or acting out, you know, whatever it may be. How are you able to develop that mental resiliency?
Well, it's probably because I had no strokes to back it up. So in order to compete, I have to do something creative. No, I didn't really have very good forehand, very good weapons. And so in order to be relevant or compete, I had to be good elsewhere. It's kind of like not having a sense in the air. So your eyesight gets better or something. But I think, it goes back to life lessons. I kind of touched on that with my mom, like how much she taught us about overcoming adversity and rather than making excuses for, whatever it may be, not having a forehand, not having this, not having the money to travel, because we really didn't play a whole lot of tournaments in the juniors because of our financial means. And so, rather than making excuses, I was fortunate to have that leadership, and my mom always taught us that just overcome, be an overcomer, overcome anything that's thrown your way. And so I think that's the beauty of tennis too, is like, at every point there's adversity that happens, and your opponent throws a blow, and then, there's physical points, and, every point is an opportunity to really overcome. And so, I guess the mental toughness I have is I think being consistent, I try to be in every single point. I think that's one thing that's in our control. Be in every single point. Like, don't give an inch, and don't have unforced errors. Don't have mental lapses like where you lose your focus. I think focus errors are effort errors. I tell my guys that all the time. Like, if you lose your focus, it's like not chasing after a ball. It's the same thing. And so, I think that, focusing on the controllables, those are controllables, but yeah, I think it's a lot of it's circumstantial too. Like, I've been fortunate to be around the right people, around competitive people, around people that have challenged me, siblings, parents, friends. But yeah, and a little bit too is like, might be genetics. I think sometimes you're fortunate to have a clutch gene, or in certain situations, I think you can perform well.
Yep.
I think that's a small percentage of it, but I think a lot of it's like the type of people you surround yourself with, and I think I don't know. I was a decent college player. It's not like
Decent
I
college. Yes,
perfected like anything.
you
So
did pretty well, and I think I know that you're just a guy that you're going to be humble. You weren't a good college tennis player, Luke. You were a great college tennis player, and I'd love to have you walk the listeners through your last match that you played for Boise. Last match as a player when you knew that that was going to be the end. What was that like moment for you, and was it something that you remember, or is it something that you want to forget about depending on the outcome?
well, actually, it's probably oh gosh, but my senior year was probably my worst year. But I think there's so much to learn from it too. And I'll go into my last match in a second, but that kind of goes back to what we're talking about with overcoming adversity. I remember everything like my freshman year was an All-American singles and doubles. The second year I had a good, pretty successful second year. Third year was playing invincible tennis at one point. Going into NCAAs, I felt like for the first time in my life, I had got to that point of invincibility where I thought I could beat anyone on the court,
Mm.
and I was just feeling so good on the court. And going to NCAA second round, I suffered a pretty bad injury, and I didn't handle that the next 6 months. I didn't really handle what was thrown my way the right way. But it kind of taps back to having the right people around you to help get you through tough times. I went through a lot during that period. And I remember I kind of I did snap out of it as national indoors my senior year. I was fortunate enough to win regionals and got to go to indoors with my brother,
Mm.
and lost both my matches. And it was like the lowest of lows, that experience in my college career. And I'm kind of pouting and feeling sorry for myself. And, so I'm lucky enough to have Clancy there with me, and he comes, he sees me, and, for a second he's there and like kind of consoling me. But then he like gives me like the thing I needed, which was like actually some true like tough brotherly love. He basically forced me to snap out of it. And,
Mm.
told me like most brothers tell it. They're honest, and they say, and they're direct, and they say what exactly needs to get done. And
Yeah.
I won't repeat what he said, but he basically said to snap out of it. And so I was lucky enough to have people like that. And my last match was my senior year. I actually got to play doubles with Clancy. We made it to NCAAs, and we lost second round to. We're actually up a break in the third on, I think it's Robert Fra and Case Van Hoff. And
Mm.
Fra ended up having a good career, but it's probably not the best match to talk about because I put I put Clancy out for a month because we actually got into a little bit of a physical altercation.
I'm- I
It was,
understand, man.
but it was but I think that's also like part of our journey. We kind of rough each other up a little bit, but try to bring the best out in each other as well. And so we always, it's funny, like my parents talk about this quite a bit. Like when we were younger, too, I think they bring up. I think we were 2 and 4, and we were in the back seat of the car, actually in the truck bed of the vehicle, and we started fighting like most kids do. And my mom was like, "Okay, we gotta stop the vehicle and like go help them out and break it up." And my dad was like, "Nah, let's let them duke it out." And um, you know, after after 5 minutes, we fought it out, but then we fell asleep like holding each other. And I think that's good, healthy dynamics. I mean, it's not always perfect. There is friction at times, but in the end, you have each other's back and you support each other. And that's really how good, successful teams are too. It's not always pretty.
Yeah.
There's frustrations, there's friction, but at the end of the day, if you have each other's back and you love each other and care for each other, that's what matters.
Yeah, and I mean, my brother, ever since I beat him in high school, he had a lot of resentment towards me, and obviously too with the family dynamic, it was just tough for us to grow up in the household we were in. But I'll never forget my senior year, he texts me out of the blue, and he's actually a high school coach as well for soccer, kind of one of the reasons why I got into high school coaching. But he said, hey, I heard you're playing a match today. And at Northern Colorado, our home matches when we went D1 were at the Air Force Academy. So he showed up to one of my matches and watched me play tennis, and I actually ended up winning the match against Air Force. And that moment, to have him there was everything to me, because it was just something where it was like full circle, you know, the tough love that I needed to develop the resiliency that came out on the tennis court produced the outcome that I wanted. And to hear that full circle moment with your brother to give you the tough love conversations you needed probably has given you some perseverance and resilience that carry you on today. And that leads me to my last question for you, Luke, is, you know, you've seen a lot, you've done a lot, both as a player and a coach. Incredible upbringing, tremendous support from your parents and all your siblings. And, you know, I think you're spot on. We are a direct influence of the people that we put ourselves around. And I think you've had a good support system to this point. And I would just be curious, you know, knowing what you know now, we've tapped in a little bit on some of the things you might have done different in life, or maybe some possible regrets. But if you could take the knowledge and everything you know now and go back to Grand Junction, Colorado, and find a coffee shop with 16-year-old Luke Shields and sit down that 16-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give him in regards to how to take on life?
That's a good question. Actually, it may have been on your podcast. I think you're talking about some daily habits. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's really vital. If I'm a 16-year-old, life is happening so fast and you want to be somewhere else so quickly. And I think it's important to wake up every day and kind of slow things down and read in the morning, develop some good habits, and gain some good perspective and enjoy what life throws you. Everything, with even if it's adversity, enjoy that moment, because you're growing, you're getting stronger. Just having that perspective that you're going through a development stage and it's okay, you know, and it's okay to have struggles. It's okay to have challenges. That's what I'd say. I'd also say, listen to the people around you. You know, I wish I would have listened to my parents more in some ways. I think, you know, as a 16-year-old, you probably think you know it all. And I did, for sure. And I thought my parents' decisions at times weren't the right decisions. But now looking back, they were, you know, they cared about me, and the people around you, listen to them, and good things will happen, and soak everything up. You know, I think you only got one. I think you were talking about that on your podcast. You know, you only get one crack at this thing. You only get one life. And so you make every day a special day. You don't know where life's going to take you, and treat every day like it's your last, and take some risks, take some chances, enjoy it, but also like have goals, you know, and be focused on what you want to accomplish. I was fortunate enough to find out what my passion is or was early on. And, you know, I think you got to find that. You got to find what gets you going, what excites you. And once you find that, just attack it, go for it. And I think anything really is possible. And I give that example of Ethan Quinn, because he reached the pinnacle in our sport at a young age, but he was just like all of us. He's, you know, 50 in the country when he was 12 years old, and he set small goals, achieved those, set some more small goals, achieved those, set bigger goals, chased after it, and achieved those. And that's really what it takes. You know, every day, just set another goal for yourself, check it off, and then on to the next one, you know. And so anything is really possible if you put your mind to it, if you work towards it, and if you have the right people that allow you to have the right mindset. So
I say it often, impossible is nothing, Luke Shields, and I believe that's tremendous advice that you've given to the listeners, and your story is unbelievable. Congratulations on getting back home, and I wish tremendous success to you and your program and the young men that you're leading, and congratulations again to you and your brother on the Colorado Tennis Hall of Fame. And I cannot thank you enough for joining the BTB Project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do for tennis, man. Look forward to hearing some more episodes. Pump me up in the morning.
That's right, man. I'll be part of that morning coffee every time. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Thanks. Such awesome words from Luke Shields that just reiterates the power of goal setting, the power of putting your mind into a reflective state to understand that whatever you're visualizing, whatever you're dreaming, whatever you're going after can be had. Here's a guy from Grand Junction, Colorado that lived most of his tournament life in a Winnebago with his dad and his brother and went after a dream, not only representing Colorado tennis, but showing the nation and the world what's possible if you put your mind to it. I know you as the listener are thinking of your goals and what you can do. And I'm telling you right now, it's stories like Luke that reinforce that impossible is nothing. I would love to hear your goals out there, BTB listeners. Whatever you're thinking about doing, whatever you're thinking about accomplishing, throw it into the chat. Send me a message. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to talk about it on the podcast. If you found this episode inspiring, share it with a friend. Let's continue the mission forward and change lives. I appreciate you tuning in today, and take care.
You're told I'll be a harder temptation.